Good morning, gladiators. We who are about to play salute you. This morning we're playing Swords and Sandals. Big surprise, right? Because every game that I play is Swords and Sandals, almost. But this isn't Swords and Sandals 1, or Swords and Sandals 2, or 3, or 4. It's in fact Swords and Sandals Mobile, which is a game that some of you may not have heard of because it's no longer available to play on the app stores. Now, this game originally came out in 2012 and was re-released again in 2016 and then removed from sale when we put the Redux versions up on the app stores. And so you can't get it anymore. So it's going to be a bit of a rare one for some people who may not ever have seen it. Let's get into it and I'll tell you a little story about it as we play. So here we are. Swords and Sandals, it's quite low resolution because this was designed for the very kind of early iPhones and Android phones. I think the resolution is 480 by 320, which is about half what the current games are, so pretty low res, right? You got a couple of options there. You can create a new character, you can load a game, you can look at some credits, not much to look at really. Turn the sound on and off. But let's have a new game. You have a character saved. You only could save one character in this version. It's quite stingy. Let's make a new one. So this is the little gladiator for the game. Looks quite different from the classic version. You can change the skin color and add some kind of facial features to it. Eyes have their own color. This is probably the term for this style of character is like a chibi, really. It's not quite, but I think it's a Japanese word. But big head and kind of a squat body, which is a fairly popular style. We thought of a few different designs from this, and that's the one we ended up going with. But looking back on it, it looks quite generic, and for me doesn't really represent what Swords and Sandals is all about. It doesn't have that much personality. You might disagree, but for me, it looks fine, but it looks like every other mobile game out there. All right, Zounds, it's a good name. Yeah, why not? Call him Zounds. All right, so like classic Swords and Sandals, you've got your strength, agility, vitality, charisma, attack, defense, magicka. There might be one or two stats missing, but I think they're all there. You can put some points into each one of them and go from there. And I kind of, just for users, I put some little bits of text there just to tell you exactly what those stats do, because sometimes people aren't sure. Like they tell me, I wonder what does defense actually do in comparison to attack and so on. And this actually tells you, well, this is the chance to deflect attacks, chance to hit opponents, you get discounts for charisma in the shop. A lot of people didn't know that. Anyway, let's get on with it. Prologue. Zounds enslaved. Zounds. Zounds, yes, that was your name. But it seems an eternity since everyone has called you that. Now here you are, languishing in the darkness, a forgotten prisoner in the Emperor's dungeon. A door opens and your eyes are blinded by the light. Dark shapes appear before you. Soldiers? Get up, you worm. In tones of voice. It is time. You were herded from your cell into an underground pit with several other prisoners. Those who survive will become gladiators. There is no alternative. You were handed a rusty blade, and so in a frenzy of blood and with a stench of fear heavy in the air, your days as a gladiator begin. Once again, every time I'm reading out those texts for introductions, they happen so fast, you can't really narrate at your own pace. So I really should give players the option to sort of tap to skip, but it doesn't matter really. So you see here, very similar to Swords and Sandals 2 and Swords and Sandals 1, you have your stats, you have some flavor text. It's the same character, Fearful Prisoner. And I believe this has a tutorial that Swords and Sandals might not have had. Yeah, I'd want to do a tutorial. Why would I want to do a tutorial? I've made the game. So, how to play. I wish there was a tutorial of some kind. Nah. Alright, so you have the options to advance, move back. Very similar. Well, one hit and is down. There is blood in this game, but not as much as the previous ones. And then you get some gold from the Emperor to start you along the way, level up. All following the very familiar constraints of Swords and Sandals. Let's add some points to agility, attack, and strength. Day 2, Glorious Freedom. And here's the town. It's a new version of the town. Same layout, but some new artwork done by my great friend Tony. I believe the tavern is a new building for this game, and it has a few things you can do. But what we want to do first is check out the weaponsmith. Remind me, I will be telling you the story of this game very soon once we've played it a little bit. Do you want to get a sword? This was designed for mobile, and so the interactions in it, you can swipe and so on, designed for that kind of gesture. Let's go with a dagger. And that's why the resolution is quite low. And I had a real, this was a real challenge to make because the old iPhones and so on didn't play well with the software that I used, which was called Adobe Air. And it slowed down so quickly. Like any transitions and fades and particle effects, it just did not want a bar of it. You can't afford that cap. It would just, try to do anything interesting with it, it would hate it. So you notice that everything is like a straight up trend. It's a straight up cut. You have, if you want to go to the armory, there he is. There's no sort of like armor fades up or anything like that. And it's something that if I ever revisited the game, I'd try to add some transitions and so on. But some people say that's not such a bad thing. It's less fuss. Get from screen to screen. Here's Good Mate Arglax. Tony did a nice sort of kind of color treatment on them to make them a little less vector looking and a bit more photoshopped. Let's have a duel. So in this game, duels, the loser loses money and the winner gains the money. And in the death match, the loser, of course, dies. Did you know Count Demir wishes he knew more about umbrellas? I didn't know that. And there is the Emperor in the distance. This is the new background with a whole bunch of characters there. I believe in this version you also have abilities that you didn't have later, like Psych Up you get right at the beginning. So watch this. Boom. Battle over. And that's one of the only animations in the game actually. Gladiator level 3. Get some vitality, some strength, and attack. Let's go to the tavern. So here's Good Mate Wolfgang of Shackleford. And we don't really know why he's at the tavern, but he was around for tavern quests, so maybe he's hanging around for. This is actually the tavern from Tavern Quest, if you do recall. And there's the fat kid behind the bar. He wasn't behind the bar in the original. He was actually running the Dungeon Master thing, which there's his empty chair there. So you can play a game of dice, a little bit of gambling, encourage the kids, right? I'll roll 2 dice. On a 7 or higher, you win 1.5 times your bet. 6 or less, you lose that amount. I don't know why I'm speaking in an American accent for Wolfgang. He doesn't sound American. I'll have to think of an accent for him as well. We'll bet all our money. Lost it all. Let's bet again. We want to get it. 6. Cool. Alright, so it's not that much fun, but you can increase your money by doing that. There were some high scores for the game there, which I don't know if they even work, but you can also check out the history of the game, which is kind of cool. Swords and Sandals 1, 2005 that came out. Swords and Sandals 2, 2006. This is, of course, the consensus great version of Swords and Sandals, and the one that this game sort of tries to emulate, but without a lot of the extra things like the improvement of weapons and so on. So now there's Crusader, missing the actual tag there. So I pretty much made one every year. Swords and Sandals 3 and the multiplayer version. Swords and Sandals 4, 2009, and then there was a bit of a break because it took a few years to make Swords and Sandals 5. Also, I had to do a whole bunch of client work because our company was not so focused on our own games anymore, and Swords and Sandals became a bit of a dirty word, which was kind of sad for me. And the story behind Swords and Sandals 5 is quite documented, but I will be telling it again in another video. Yeah, so bit of a gap, and then yeah, so that's the history. I'm actually going to do a video about all the lore behind Sword and Sandals at some point. I'll be reading out the Tome of Lore, and there's like maybe 20 or 30 pages of text about, you know, the history of Brandor, all the great characters within and so on. Oh, we can buy potions there. No, we don't need to do that. Magic shop, anything we want from there. You can enchant weapons and things. That's kind of cool. Shall we enchant? It's not quite as advanced as the old one where you could add fire damage and things like that. But yeah, we'll enchant the dagger, make it a bit fancier. And head to the arena again. So there's other characters in this, like skeleton men and floralisks, and those sort of I think there might be some Cycladians in there. Easy battle. The limited animation in this game, I feel like, was, you know, it was a product of its era, but it doesn't really hold up to the classic Sword and Sandals. The battles are quite fast though. You know, as you can see, I'm sort of getting through one every, 15-20 seconds. And they move quickly, but taunted. Whoa. I think they do get quite hard from memory, but we're nearly in the next level, I think. Ready for tournament. So, this game, right, I was making it in 2011. I was making Swords and Sandals 5, and then with the whole rise of the iPhone, we thought, let's try and make a Sword and Sandals for iPhone, and Adobe, who made Air, actually came out with a way for us to do that, because originally we couldn't do it. We wanted to put games on the iPhone, but we didn't have the technology or the skills to do so. We have that. Okay, let's get... but then when Adobe brought out the ways to convert these games to mobile, we thought, yeah, let's make one. So I stopped making Swords and Sandals 5 for about 3 months, and I started making this game, and it was all ready to go, and we submitted to Apple, and we were waiting, and then we got a message from Apple saying, no, the game is being rejected, and no further action will be taken right now, and we're not going to be allowing any new apps from anyone not using official Adobe's Apple software. So if you didn't make it using their Xcode Objective-C, which is the language, then you couldn't submit a game. So this was using a different tool, and they didn't want to borrow it. And that's just like classic Apple, where they just go out of their way to just screw over the developer. We have to pay a fee every year to submit games to Apple, and it's not insignificant. It's like $150 US or something. Regardless if you make $1 or $10 million, you got to pay that fee. You do it every year, and if you don't, they'll take your games off the App Store. Google don't do that. Steam don't do that. The other stores, Windows and so on, Amazon, none of them do it. But Apple, I don't know. I'm not a fan of them, I got to say. They really have gone out of the way to do a number on us over the years, and even now I still have troubles getting my game submitted to them, and they're always breaking things. Anyway, Apple end rant. Anyway, after a while, maybe it was like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months later, Apple said to us, oh yeah, everything's fine now, I've changed rules, and then the game just magically appeared on the App Store. So there it was, and then, it sold quite well for a while. It was number one in many countries, I think 45 different countries in the role-playing games category, and it made some money, so that was nice. But unfortunately, I never made another one quite like it, and I really should have made another small tournament-based Sword and Sandals game. Sword and Sandals 5 wasn't designed for mobile, and it ended up getting shoehorned into it, which is a story for another day. But and so the momentum was lost, and as you know, the old company no longer has the rights to Sword and Sandals, and now I work with eGames, and Whiskey Barrel Studios is my company, and we're in much better hands now, so good times, and that's why you're starting to see some cool Sword and Sandals mobiles games, and that's why there's such a gap between this one in 2012 and the new ones. All right, tournament time. Woolridge's Meat Emporium Cup, live from the amphitheater. John the Butcher Woolridge is a pillar of the community. Every year he hosts a tournament for low-level gladiators to gain valuable experience. The winner even gets to take on Woolridge himself for a shot at big prize money. John the Butcher, of course. As I told in the earlier Swords and Sandals 2 video, was my first boss when I was a kid. I worked in a butcher shop cleaning up the machines and the meat bits and moving the wooden blocks and so on. I lasted a day, and then he fired me. I think I made about $10, and he said, "You're too weak." Anyway, I've told that story, but I got revenge on him by putting him in this game as John the Butcher, and so many gladiators have taken out their frustrations on him in revenge. Hey, I'm dead. Well, that's what happens when you don't pay attention. We'll have one more go at the tournament, and it's using the heavy metal theme from Swords and Sandals 3. You died in battle during Woolridge's Meat Emporium Cup. All is not lost, however. The gods will resurrect you. Done. I think we can go back to the tournament. Hey, there's an ad for... Whoa, You Are a Knight. So You Are a Knight, now known as Swords and Sandals Medieval. So this back in the day was the game that were... so I actually, when I re-released this game in 2016, I added a couple of things like that. But I'm going to have a little chat at the end of the video about the future of this game. So let's try and load our gladiator and see if we can go back in that tournament and do it again. Yeah, okay, cool. See if we can get to John. Like many of the Swords and Sandals games, the difficulty ramps up once you reach the tournament. They stop mucking around and get a bit more serious. Got him. Two more victories needed. We can do it. Whoa, that guy. The zombie man. He ain't got nothing on us. Oh, he's got a bow. Bows never be trusted. Only a fearful man uses a bow. Ah, he's using that push don't you hate that? They push you away, then they jump back and try to use the bow, but I know how to get around that. We'll corner him. He's gonna be feeling it. A couple more hits should do it. One more hit. Maybe we can charge at him. Oh no, it's actually you can't jump in this game, I don't believe. No, I don't know why I took the jump out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see it anywhere. Anyway, we got him. Yeah, I mean it's kind of fun. It has, you know, it's classic Swords and Sandals, but it's just, I mean, I love my original drawings. I'm very biased because obviously I did them, but these just feel a little bit more like by the numbers, kind of generic, not that memorable. I mean, they're fine, but I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Which characters you prefer? These ones, the Swords and Sandals 3 hulking beast ones, or Battle Rage. That's a new thing. So with Battle Rage, people do double damage, but it didn't matter for him. Alright, we're about to fight John the Butcher. And regardless if we win or lose, we'll probably end the playthrough there. I'm trying to get... Oh, there we go. I quite like that, actually. It's quite a cool little, you know, coming out of the portcullis. Alright. So, he's got a little more armor than us, but we're fairly evenly matched. So, again, that piece of trivia. Every time you go away, you take a piece of meat with you. Of course, not by John the Butcher, but by a guy called Paul Young in the 80s. But I thought that joke was hilarious back in the day, and still I keep it in there. Most people would never get that reference. It's pretty stupid. Got to go with the jabs because they seem to be surefire things. These little globes here, if they fill up, that's when you get Battle Rage and you can do double damage, or I think it was automatic hits. So you got to be careful about that. John has that now, so if we don't hit him now, it could be... John had his revenge on us. Killed in battle, win streak snapped. Eliminated from the tournament. All over. Well, that was fun. Yeah, so look. We're done, yeah. Good score though. Done with that. So yeah, what do you think? Swords and Sandals, the original mobile version. this game we removed from sale when Swords and Sandals 2 came out because they were quite similar, but Swords and Sandals 2 Redux had a whole bunch more. But looking back, they're quite different experiences. Swords and Sandals 2 Redux is a much more tactical and a deeper game and a slower game. Is this a game that you would like to see re-released on the app stores? In its current form, I wouldn't do much to it. But maybe I'd call it something like Swords and Sandals Mini Fighters or something like that. Now, if there's something that you'd like to see, let me know in the comments or on the Facebook page, and maybe I'll re-release it because, it seems a shame to have it lying dormant and nobody ever playing it again because, it's not the best Swords and Sandals and it's not the worst, but, it's kind of fun. And if you have an older phone, it actually works quite well. Well, that's it for today. Probably tonight when everyone goes to bed, I'm going to play some Heroes of Might and Magic 3, which is a classic game and I'm a huge fan of, although I haven't played it in many, many years. And then next up, we'll be digging into the Swords and Sandals archives to find a Swords and Sandals game which was never released. All right. Until next time, bye for now.